everyone. I am Hope Gooderell, one of your hosts of Raving Geeks podcast. I am here with my co-host Brendan Valentine. On today's episode of Raving Geeks, we will be talking about the Netflix movie Holidate. As the holiday season is upon us very quickly, within the next week, I thought it was really interesting to be able to talk about this romantic comedy, especially on something like Raving Geeks. So our first question today is going to be, what is one holiday that you geek out over? So Brendan, what do you geek out over?
Oh yeah. So holidays I geek out over. The big one has got to be Christmas, just because I love the vibe of Christmas. Generally I like warm weather better, but Christmas always feels like a spot of warmth in the middle of cold winter season. After we've gotten all the weird wind and slush, and before we get the nice white powdery snow, it's Christmas is all right, nice little warmth time for people to get together, lots of lights and sharing and all that kind of stuff. So I geek out over that because I'm always down for all of the Christmas movies and everything like that. But generally, just Christmas is a vibe. Christmas is definitely a vibe.
Most definitely. I definitely agree with that. I definitely geek out over Christmas, but I'll be honest and say I geek out a little bit more over Halloween. I honestly love them both equally, but Christmas is just a little bit more stressful for me, just because I'm always in the mode of finding the perfect gift for everyone. And I'm also a person who makes all of the gifts, so then it's the time crunch of making sure everything is made and wrapped. But yeah, I definitely feel the warmth of Christmas, and I love snow. I'm a weird person, but I love snow. Not the hard iced over snow, but the snow that you were talking about, the light fluffy and go build a snowman. Not hurts my lungs to breathe snow and cold, but the let's go have fun. But I also love Dia de los Muertos. I love the idea of it and what it represents of loved ones who have passed on coming back, and you get to be with them for a couple days and basically celebrating death rather than being afraid of it. But
oh no, that's definitely really cool. And I guess I always when people are oh, holidays you geek out over. I'm all right, what are the typical American holidays? But that's actually, I also like the vibe of Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah, it's really fun. I honestly want to be able to go down to Mexico one day and just experience Dia de los Muertos down there and just see everything and how people celebrate it.
Cool.
So I have a bit of geek news. Do you have a bit of geek news?
I do have a bit of geek news.
You want to go first?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So big news this week. Both the Xbox Series X and PS5 are released this week. So gamers beware, or friends of gamers beware. Check in on your friends. You might not see them for a few days. Or if they're unlucky enough to try and buy their PS5 at Walmart and they probably don't have it yet, maybe go check in and see how they're doing without their PS5 if they're a PlayStation person. But I do have to read this tweet from Microsoft that was tweeted the day after the Xbox Series X was released. And I quote from Xbox's Twitter, "We can't believe we have to say this, but please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X." So that was I saw that headline earlier this week. I thought that was hilarious. Apparently people, in order to try and make it seem like the Series X is malfunctioning, they've been blowing vape smoke in there, or they're just trying to do vape tricks with the vent. I've also seen people put the ping pong balls on top of the vent just because it's blowing the air out so hard it'll levitate over it. I have not pre-ordered or bought or anything for the next gen consoles yet, but my plan is by the end of the holiday season to have a Series X. But we'll see how that goes. College student on a budget, $500 is not easy to scrounge up.
Hey, that's Black Friday deals, right? You gotta get in the Black Friday deals.
I mean, that's fair. Black Friday is now all month, according to all of the commercials right now.
Yeah.
So what is your geek news?
Well, okay, so I saw something, and you might be able to say yay or nay. I'm not sure. In watching a football game, I kept getting commercials for Demon's Soul, a video game that's coming out
Hmm.
within like a week. I'm not a video game person, but I thought I would throw that out to our gamers. Um, WandaVision got a release date for January 15th. And so now I'm like, all right, Falcon and Winter Soldier. When is that coming out? Marvel,
And
tell me.
that was supposed to be out like what was it, like 2 months ago before it got all the delays. So now it's not even going to be the first MCU TV show on Disney Plus. Interesting.
Yeah, and so it's WandaVision is going to be the first. Um, and so this next one is near and dear to my soul as a huge Potterhead. I understand J.K. Rowling and her views. I'm not supporting her. I'm supporting what she created. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the third one. Warner Brothers asked Johnny Depp to resign as Grindelwald for the third movie after he lost his libel court case in the UK against a magazine there. But there was a petition started by Johnny Depp's fans that has over 150,000 signatures to reinstate him as Grindelwald because it is not fair to him to have to resign. And so hopefully Warner Brothers sees their mistake and brings him back. There's also a petition for Amber Heard to be gone from Aquaman 2, and that has over 900,000 signatures. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, so that's my geek news of
Yeah,
the
I heard
world.
about that. It's
Yeah.
this all the casting stuff is very weird with everything. It's I mean, like, I'm not like making comment either way on like all the public scandal stuff, but a lot of stuff has happened with directors and actors the past couple of years, and that's interesting
Oh,
to
yeah.
see, especially in like the age of social media, how much, you know, individual actor like personal life type things can influence like the direction our movies and films and all of the media we consume are going to go in.
Well, and it's interesting to me too because when all this was first coming out between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, people were upset and asked Warner Brothers to let him go. And then they didn't and kept him for the first two movies. But then all of a sudden, now they're deciding that they're asking him to resign, which he did. But like, why change of heart when I don't know. I'm mad at Warner Brothers, but also,
It's weird.
yeah. So, our geek news for the movie Holidate. What is your opinion on whether or not it stands up to the typical cheesy rom-coms of the holiday season?
Uh, Real quick, for those of you who don't know, Holiday
Yes.
is just a holiday themed related romantic comedy that was just released on Netflix a few weeks ago. It's been in the Netflix top 10 for like the past 2 weeks, hasn't it?
I
Something
think
like
so,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been really popular. So personally for me, I'm not super into romantic comedies. Like, I'm not like, when a new one comes out, I'm not like, oh, let's go to the movies and see it. But like when they're on TV, I'm not gonna be like, not gonna watch it. I need action, explosion, Michael Bay Transformers type stuff. Um, I mean, I'd really like The Notebook. If you can see my Zoom background, if you're watching this, live. Um, but personally, like, I thought it was good, but I don't know. I was kind of expecting a little more of the less like stereotypical romantic comedy stuff in there. Like,
Yeah.
what I thought was like really good about it was very aware as a romantic comedy. Like, I remember there were a couple quotes in there like, "Oh, in the movies this happens," or the whole like running gag of like, "Yeah, if Ryan Gosling like appeared in the crowd right now, I definitely would say yes." And I'm like, okay, so it's aware of itself, but then like at the conclusion of the movie, I'm like, but you just played into all the same tropes of the cheesy romantic comedy in the end. Definitely, in my opinion, better than the dime a dozen Hallmark movies we get around this time of year that all kind of have like the romantic comedy holiday kind of plot. But yeah. So, also we should explain what a holiday is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So a holiday if your family bothers you at any holiday of like why you don't have a significant other and why you haven't brought them around, then they try and set you up with someone. A holiday is someone that you bring to the holidays, and it's a no commitment, no strings attached. They're there basically to be like, see, I have a person, and then you can go on your way after that. In the movie, Kristen Chenoweth is in it, and she is amazing as always. Her character is the one that inspires the main character, Sloane, to have a holiday. But Kristen Chenoweth's character, she has a different holiday for every holiday, whereas Sloane meets Jackson, and they go to every holiday together. So it kind of depends on how you want to play it. Because like with Kristen Chenoweth's character, she's like, oh yeah, let's just have fun and get drunk. And here, I brought someone. Whereas Emma Roberts' character is like, no, you need to stop trying to set me up with random dudes. And I have a guy, see? But yeah.
Yeah, and then what qualifies as a holiday also can be like, you know, a little construed. It could be your major ones, just like Halloween, Christmas, Easter type stuff, 4th of July, but also I know they mentioned Arbor Day counts as a holiday, and there were a couple of other minor holidays in there too. But they made it clear that weddings don't count, events don't count, so you don't get your holiday for events. For those of you who are thinking of using this strategy in your own personal dating life to get your family off your back, so weddings don't count. So that doesn't. That's not fair game.
That in order to make sure that they don't sleep together, that their only times of like being a holiday was non-sexual / romantic holidays. But I mean, they still have like Christmas, but like Valentine's Day, you know, that was out. And they saw each other on Valentine's Day, but it wasn't a holiday. It was just
they weren't
like
dating.
Yeah.
They just happened to run into each other that day. And that, as one of the tropes of a romantic comedy, they just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, let's save Emma Roberts from her ex-boyfriend and his hot new girlfriend on Valentine's Day. She's pigging out on chocolate.
Hot and young new girlfriend, as she repeatedly pointed out in that scene.
Well, and then, you know, later on, it's like, oh, and now she's pregnant. And yeah, that was, honestly, I was kind of okay with that trope, though. Like, I'm usually not a big fan of, like, the ex, meeting the ex with the new young hot girlfriend, and then later you find out she's pregnant. Because it wasn't like she was pregnant when they met. It was like she got pregnant, you know, after they met. So it wasn't like a relationship betrayal where it's something that Emma Roberts' character has to get over, like a cheating type of situation. It's just like, oh, he has moved on and I don't feel like I have. Exactly.
And like, it's very clear that he has moved on because, you know, he's about to have a kid.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, you know, I think that's the better way to go about that trope, because so many times you get it where the girl or the guy, whatever, has to deal with the fact that his ex cheated on him and now the person's pregnant, and I feel like that's like not fair and not always indicative of real life relationships. I mean, it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I feel like a lot more when you run into your ex, if they've got a new person, they're more likely to not have a kid on the way.
Yeah. Or although like in the movie, technically, like, he cheated on her, but like it wasn't like to that extent.
Yeah.
Like their relationship ended because he wanted to start the relationship with the new girl, which again, you know, pretty stereotypical, like, I had bad relationship, I don't want to date anymore, type thing. And then, you know, the right guy comes along at the right time. And I know for a movie's sake, I always have to suspend disbelief. And I'm like, this is all just ridiculous coincidence. But I'm like, well, if it wasn't ridiculous coincidence, you wouldn't have the story. Like, even if there's a greater context to it, and like if it was a documentary and it still had all this coincidence, you know, there's a lot in between all of these coincidences that they don't show. But I liked the fact, like, for the whole Holidate thing, they went throughout like a whole year, and it wasn't just like this one Christmas and on this one night. So like I appreciated that it was like there's like it takes time to develop this type of relationship. She's not like at the beginning of the movie. I'm not in a place for a relationship, and at the beginning of the movie, he's like, I'm not in a place for a relationship, and then 3 days later they're engaged. I appreciated that it seemed like a more realistic timeline, but I don't think the characters were super realistic. Like Jackson was also another trope of rom-coms. Everyone's just ridiculously hot. Like even at the beginning, he's like the whole like the line that Emma Roberts' character keeps bringing up that he mentions. He's like, "Oh, I don't find you that attractive." I'm like, "Really?" Like I know that was just something stupid you said, but like everyone in this movie is just ridiculously attractive.
Yeah, I definitely was like, oh, Luke Bracey, he's in this. And then I was like, oh, and he gets to have his natural Australian accent. Okay, I'm down for this. And then, yeah, him saying, I don't find you that attractive to Emma Roberts. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? I am a straight female and I find her very attractive. So
yeah, and Jackson was ridiculously hot. So like it's unrealistic that her character wasn't just like, all right, like I know I'm not like super into a relationship, but if he seems into me, I don't know. Like again, emotions are complicated and everything, but I feel like, making the characters a little more ugly makes, the rest of us seem like, okay, this is something that could happen to me. I could have this, crazy romance, but then you just, get a ripped hot Australian guy and then, sweet and lovely blonde. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I don't look like that. I have problems. They don't seem to. So
I will say that like, as far as Emma Roberts' character going through the whole I'm fine being single, I agree with, like, I liked that part of her character because I've been single for a very long time, and having been hurt in previous relationships or anything, like I do have the sense sometimes of like, yeah, I'm totally fine single, but then other times I'm like, why am I not dating anyone? What's wrong? And so like I did find that part very realistic, but I still found like other parts like where she just like, I mean, part of it was also because her family was like, you're not okay being single. And she's like, yes, I am. Like that part, I was like, okay, I get it. But also I feel like she would have had someone in her family or like a friend to be like, no, I'm really not okay being single, but like I need to be or something. Like that part wasn't realistic for me, that she was completely alone and that her niece, who was like 7, had a boyfriend. I was like,
oh, her niece was the best character in the movie. The 7-year-old with the boyfriend that gives like the only one that gives like good advice the entire time is her 7-year-old niece. I was like, okay, when you've got the comedy in there too, I definitely can appreciate watching it. But yeah, when you suggested that we watch this and then talk about it on the podcast, I was like, okay, I like romantic comedies and I'm down to watch it. But I recently went through a breakup, so I was like, I don't know if I'm in the headspace to watch a rom-com. But that, like, I still genuinely enjoyed it, but I could tell while I was watching it, I'm like, yeah, I'm super cynical. I agree with Sloan at the beginning. We all need to be single for a little while.
Yes. I definitely agree with that part too, of like, you shouldn't be just go relationship after relationship, because you don't learn about yourself and you don't learn what you need or what you want. And it's like, we all need to be single for a while and just chill out and have fun and not feel the pressure of needing to be perfect for someone. And I think you see that with her sister's character, who's married. I can't remember the actress's name, but she played Arizona Robbins on Grey's Anatomy. How she's married, but she's like, yeah, my husband stays home and takes care of the kids all the time, and like I just get to go out and have fun. And it's like, but that's not a good relationship either. And I think that was part of it. Part of the movie too was showing like, yeah, you can be in a relationship, but things might not be as perfect as they seem.
yeah, like her younger brother and his fiance, they get married, and
Mhm.
she's like, I actually don't know who you are. Like
Yeah.
we aren't like each other's soulmates necessarily because we don't know who we are
hmm And like, oh, you like golf since when? He's like, since
since
always.
always. Yeah, I thought that one was kind of funny. I'm like, oh, interesting.
Well,
But
and I think that shows you too, like the whole honeymoon phase of relationship and just like how in love you feel with someone. And if you don't get out of that, you don't realize how much you don't know. And it's
mhm.
like, oh, yeah, so the honeymoon phase is great for relationships, but also we do need to move back to reality and to real life to be
Mhm.
able to like actually get to know each other and see who we truly are.
So big overall question, like for everyone listening, was it a good movie? Like independent of being a rom-com, is it a good movie?
I would definitely say that there were things that I was missing from the movie. Like I felt like some character arcs weren't fully completed, but overall, like I was laughing and like smiling the entire time. I enjoyed it, so I would definitely say to watch it. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's definitely one that like if I'm bored and want to watch something, I would pull out again to watch. What about you?
I would agree with you. I'd say it was definitely worth the watch. Like I'm not upset that I watched it. I don't. It definitely wasn't a bad movie by any metric. And as far as like romantic comedies go, I thought it like I really enjoyed the self awareness of it, where they were able to like point out the stupid tropes, even though they kind of like went with them anyway. Um, and like to not spoil the movie, but like the very end, I was really like fingers crossed that it didn't end like the way that every romantic comedy ends, but it kind of it had its day at the end.
It
So
kind of reminded me of The Proposal. Have you seen that one?
I
With
have seen The Proposal. That makes sense.
yeah, like the whole no, it's not going to be and it's more a comedy, but like stuff's going to happen and
Hmm.
then, it comes out, but you're just like, I can go with that and it's the chill kind of romantic comedy, not that like anyone can watch, not just people in relationships.
Or people not in relationships, because I know there's those
Yeah.
romantic comedies that just go like relationships suck, everything's the worst, that
hmm
type of thing. It's entertaining. I enjoyed it. Not something I would watch with my parents specifically, because like the first like 10 minutes I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this, because they get a little graphic at some points in
Yep.
terms of like the detail. But yeah, I'm still waiting for the day that I find the romantic comedy that it ends where they're like not together, they're with other people, and they're like, no, we learned good lessons from our time together, but we're all done.
I'm just
Like
gonna ask this: have you seen La La Land?
uh that doesn't count.
What? Why doesn't that count? Because it's not a comedy?
Because they're not friends at the end. Like they literally just part ways. And
Okay.
I don't feel like they learned much. It's been a while since I've watched it too, so I probably should go back and watch it. But yeah, personally, I was not a huge fan of La La Land when it first came out. But
See, I liked it because it had a happy ending that wasn't the Hollywood happy ending. So,
I agree with you. Like I didn't hate the ending, but like I'm still waiting for the movie where the last scene is like, they both are in new relationships and they're like, oh yeah, we're friends. Because La La
okay.
Land, they aren't friends. Like, sure, maybe they could have a conversation, but they aren't like able to hang out.
Okay. I see where you're coming from now. Yeah.
Because I feel like there's the rom com where it's like they're together and they're happy, or like in a way they're together and they're happy. Because The Notebook doesn't end with like, oh, they lived happily ever after. Like they're together, but not really.
Yeah.
And then you have kind of like your La La Land stuff where like it didn't work out, but they both learned a valuable lesson. I just want them to be friends at the end.
Yeah. I totally get that. And I feel like as stereotypes and societal pressures about being single or in relationships shift, I think we'll definitely get that way and eventually get that movie. But I think it's what director and what writer is going to take the chance.
That's fair.
And I feel like also like with the different streaming platforms like Apple TV, Netflix, Amazon Prime, they're going to eventually come out with that because they can do low budget movies, but still have it out in an international platform.
I want to see a romantic comedy, like exclusively romantic comedy, directed by James Gunn.
Who's James Gunn was
Guardians of the Galaxy and the new Suicide Squad movie are the big ones. I want to see something romantic, like meant to be a romantic comedy, but directed by James Gunn. Or actually, has Taika Waititi ever done a romantic comedy? I don't think so, but his take on a romantic comedy would be fun as well.
I think he would be fantastic. That either one of them or both of them together. Like, I also kind of want to have it like, since they both did superhero movies, be like, is the person a superhero? Oh, that reminds me, going to your thing, My Super Ex-Girlfriend. Have you seen that movie? It's
My Super Ex-Girlfriend? No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend that you watch it because I think that has the ending that you're going to want.
Okay, cool.
Maybe like a little bit different, but I think it's been a really long time since I've watched it. I believe it's Uma Thurman is in it. Anna Faris, I think, who is married to Chris Pratt. And one of the Wilson brothers, the dark-haired one who is in Legally Blonde. Can never remember if it's Luke or Owen.
It's Luke.
Luke? Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, Owen Wilson wasn't in Legally Blonde, I don't think.
No.
Okay, I could be wrong about that, and if people in the comments are going to start screaming at me, please don't. It's been a while since I've watched the original Legally Blonde.
It was the dark-haired one and not the one who was in Night at the Museum.
Oh, Night at the Museum's Owen Wilson.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Owen Wilson's curly blonde hair.
Yes. So Luke Wilson is in My Super Ex-Girlfriend. And that one's a rom-com. It's hilarious. It's got a superhero in it. And so, yes. I think it has the ending you want. But it, like I said, it's old. I mean, old being a relative term now.
I think it doesn't sound too old if it has Anna Faris and Luke Wilson. It can't be too
I think
bad.
Early 2000s. I think.
Yeah, that's not old. I was like, old movie is like pre-70s.
Okay. Like I said, old is relative in how you talk about stuff, especially now. Off topic, but I saw someone write vintage something on like Facebook Marketplace, and it was from 1997. I was like, that is the year I was born. Does that make me vintage?
No, okay, so we're getting our Peter Parkers from Infinity War and Endgame and all that stuff. You remember that really old movie, Star Wars?
Yep. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. So I have to ask, Hope, would you ever, be on the market for a Holidate?
I think that it would depend because I don't think I could do, like in the movie where they happen to meet at a store trying to return things that they don't have a receipt for. I think it would have to be like I'd build a friendship with them first because I'm very much a person who's like, I need to know who you are and that I can trust you. But also, if it was Luke Bracey, or I'm going to pull in football, Joe Burrow, the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, if either one want to be my Holidate.
Interesting choice. Of all the football players there are, you're going to pick the QB for the Bengals.
I mean, I'd take Christian McCaffrey, running back for the Panthers too, but I'm fairly certain he has a girlfriend, so that wouldn't work out. But yeah, it would depend. It would very much depend. I don't feel like my family pushes having a relationship on me that much, but I do know that there are some holidays that I'm like, I just want someone who's also single. They're with me, and we can just have fun and no strings, but not feel the pressure of needing to have a partner. But yeah, so I'm on the edge of yes and no at the same time. What about you, Brendan?
Currently, probably not, just because again, I like similar to you, I don't have that pressure for my family to, oh, do you have someone at every holiday? But I'm sure like if I started getting like a little bit older and then like that question started popping up more, I definitely would consider it. And I could even just like have a friend, not even like a full on holiday, just like, hey, do you just want to come to my family events? And then we won't have to say that we're dating, but we won't say that we're not dating either, just to get people to stop asking me the question. But honestly, I like my family. I don't have a problem like with them like digging in, but if they did start to try and set me up with people, then that might be where I start to consider a holiday.
Yeah, like the only person in my family that I'm sitting here going, I would have a holiday specifically to get them off my back is my grandmother. I love her dearly, but I swear she keeps giving me makeup and like telling me how to dress and stuff. And I'm like, listen, I don't need the help. Or, then I would be like, hey, here's my friend, and stop bugging me about getting a boyfriend or whatever. But even she's not like super pushy, like in Holidate, but like still it'll be like just to get someone off of my back.
That's fair. So I think for any specific holiday for me, it'd probably be New Year's, just because like New Year's with family is not my idea of a super fun New Year's. Super fun New Year's would be like friends, but like if family's like, hey, do you have plans with a person? I want to send you to this person. Like, no, I'd rather be with someone that I know a little bit better for New Year's. Heck, I'm cool with being single on Valentine's Day, but that's just because for those of you who don't know, my last name is Valentine. So like I have a lot of fun on Valentine's Day. I make puns all day long.
See, Valentine's Day for me, being single, is Valentine's Day. So like I want to have someone, but also like if I can pull in like a friend who's also single and be like, hey, let's do stupid stuff together, or like let's go, order takeout and then watch stupid movies or something. Like I'm okay with that. But if I'm bombarded with couples, then I'm not okay. Like but also I'm just like, yeah, let's have fun with this. Let's make it about villains instead of having a Valentine. So I'm definitely on the pun side with you.
Perfect.
All right. I think I don't have any more questions for you. I think
we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I will say that your rating of Holidate was probably a little bit higher than like the typical critics, like Rotten Tomatoes. Because I think they only gave it like a 46 out of 100 or something. Which I
think if I were to give it something, I'd say probably like a 65 to a 70.
Yeah, and I think Rotten Tomatoes has gone downhill because I find a lot of movies that they rate very poor to be a lot higher. But yeah, so do you have any media recommendations for people to check out, especially here at CMU? We're about to head on to winter break for 2 months. What Definitely. Are your recommendations?
Well, currently I'm in the middle of watching The Mandalorian season 2. The whole thing isn't out yet, but episode 3 got released today, and that's what I'll be watching as soon as we are done recording. Today, as of when we're recording, not today is when this is released. But by the time this is released, there will be another one, so we'll have 4 episodes to watch. What else? If you're looking for like fun holiday related things too, also Star Wars related, the Lego Star Wars holiday specials, and then the new one coming out. Like they're not like great, but there's like entertaining if you want something dumb. So if you're just looking, like if you're just sitting on the couch and it's like snowing out, you don't want to do anything, and you just need kind of like something to, on the TV to be dumb for a little bit for a while. The Lego Star Wars holiday specials, or any of the Lego Star Wars stuff that's on Disney Plus or probably on YouTube, they're actually really funny.
I will definitely be checking out those Lego Star Wars or Lego movies, whatever, because I loved the first Lego movie. I will say my mother kind of figured out what was happening midway through the movie and was not very quiet about it.
Dang it. I thought that was a good plot twist, but okay, for another episode though.
Yes. But so my recommendations, Holidate, obviously, we're talking about it. You should go watch it. But also, if you have Amazon Prime or CBS All Access or anything, the show Blood and Treasure is really cool. So it follows a couple characters on their hunt to find the not the tomb, but like the casket, and even that's not the right word, of Cleopatra, because the tomb of Antony and Cleopatra was found in the first episode, and then terrorists steal sarcophagus. Thank you, Ben. The sarcophagus of Cleopatra is stolen by terrorists, and so they go around the world to try and retrieve Cleopatra and reunite her with Antony. And yeah, they're coming out with a season 2 soon, and it's going to be really interesting seeing how that goes. But the two main characters are amazing. And then you get to meet Chuck, who is a priest in Rome and the Vatican, and Chuck is amazing. He's hilarious. He's not your typical priest whatsoever. But yeah, so I highly suggest that you guys go check everything out that we've recommended. You'll have a lot of time, lockdown's still in effect and all that fun news. So I hope you guys enjoyed our episode today and that you tune back next week for our next episode. I am Hope Gooderl, along with my co-host Brendan Valentine, and we are signing off of today's episode of Raving Geeks. Bye.